Hi students, in this video I'm going to introduce the progressive era, which is basically the period from about 1890 to 1920. The progressive era is now seen as an era of government growth, response, and greater intervention. It's federal government growth, response, and intervention in response to industrialization and also in response to political corruption. So over the course of the 19th century, huge changes have taken place in American society. The most notable is that many people now are living in cities, and that there has been a growth in industry and technology that has changed the way people have worked, or people are working. And that some people have become remarkably wealthy as a result of this, people like Rockefeller and Carnegie and JP Morgan. And as they have become more and more wealthy, it's become more and more difficult for local governments, state governments to control them. And so even though the United States government is based in its origins on being a limited government that's not that much involved in the lives of the states, there's a growing pressure, in fact a growing need, for the federal government to become more involved in protecting people's rights that seem to be being trampled by these very powerful businesses and corporations. And in this, the progressives are different from a more libertarian approach that wants the government to remain as uninvolved in business and society as possible. And they're also different from an anarchist approach, who don't want to reform the system in the way that progressives want to change the system. They want to destroy the system completely and start again. These are the sort of people who would see the US Constitution as oppressive. Progressive era is also based, so it's a liberal movement, and it's based on liberal confidence in science. The great achievements of science in the 19th century have given them a confidence in the ability of human beings to solve problems and difficulties like this. And so we're going to see there's going to be a lot of application of new social sciences to trying to resolve the problems that are emerging in an industrial society. Problems of poor health, problems of poverty, problems of abuse. And there are a number of causes that drive the progressive era to really take off in the 1890s. First of all, the Great Depression, before the Great Depression that I talked about last week, that encourages people to look to resolve widespread poverty that they see in their society. In 1890, although the United States was the richest nation in the world in terms of per capita wealth, on average, an eighth of the population was considered to be living in poverty. So the poverty that people see around them drives the progressive era. Then you also have the rise of socialism. And this is very closely tied to the anarchy that I was talking about earlier. Marxist socialism at this time is focused on destroying institutions that already exist. And trying to create a totally egalitarian utopia. Most Americans at this time don't want to destroy their institutions of government, but they do see a need to reform. They appreciate the critique that socialists are making of American society. And last of all, as I hinted at last time when we talked about the Spanish-American War, you have the rise of the media, that in an age where literacy is growing, where printing and publishing is becoming cheaper, newspapers are becoming more and more influential in driving causes that people don't necessarily come face to face with every day, but now come face to face with through mass media. So those are kind of the motivating factors behind the progressive era. Another important driving influence is the influence of religion. Religion during this period, religion is a very broad term, but a number or most denominations begin to take more of a social approach, an approach of what might be called social activism. Again, it's appropriate to the needs of the time. They look around and they see great poverty and great suffering that they feel as Christians called to relieve. And you see this with the development of groups like the YMCA, The Salvation Army, the development of a Catholic encyclical promulgated by the Pope at the time that dealt with how workers should be treated and cared for. The emergence of social heroes like Jane Addams, who develops Hull House, which is a place where those who are poor or in difficult family or health conditions can go to be taken care of. This is seen as part of what it means to live a Christian life in this situation. As I say, it's appropriate to this situation, but it's a material solution to a material problem, which, as I say, makes sense in light of the situation, but creates some issues for Christian denominations further down the line. To what extent is Christianity as a religion supposed to be involved in social issues and political issues? How important are they supposed to be relative to the practice of religion, which up until this point has been understood to be far more focused on worshiping God. And so these are the drivers of the progressive era and the way in which the progressive era emerges.